Hi. I haven't had a lot of time to put these videos together on this channel because, I mean, let's face it, the other channel is, it's a lot putting those videos together, plus actually going out to get the footage. I mean, the other channel is the priority. I do get to the point where I kind of think, I do need to, I still got to say something. To be honest, this channel feels more like a, duty, This isn't these videos are not like fun to make or anything. I mean, the other one is. That's what I like to do. This channel really feels more like a duty, like something that, I have to do. If you don't speak out against stupidity and evil, then if you don't do anything or say anything about it, then what are you doing? I mean, you're just letting it happen. Basically, you're just watching it happen. So that's kind of the reason why I even started this channel. I need to do more of them. Like I said, the other channel is very time consuming, so that's the priority. I don't get paid for this channel. Obviously, I got like 40 subscribers, if that many. So it's still good to take the time and the effort and put this stuff out there so people can hear it, because that, I've done my part at that point. And when it comes to doing your part, I mean, that's the right thing to do. Do your part, right? Okay, so anyway, what I want to talk today about, the idea that, half of the country is basically ignoring reality. Still, the indictment of Trump, okay? Again, with this, we're doing this again, the Trump throwing more charges at this guy. The Devin Archer testimony. If you can't see what's happening and what's going on at this point, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't think it's for the people that refuse to see it and to really understand how that works, how and why people will disregard reality and the things that are staring them in the face. We have to understand the motivations behind it. Like, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody disregard reality? I mean, there's probably a lot of it that they don't want to be wrong. They don't like being proven wrong. There's also the for the greater good. They tell themselves this is all for the greater good and it'll be better in the end, right? The thing about it is the people that conserve the ideals of America and the Constitution, we keep being proven right over and over and over. Okay, and these are lessons that it doesn't take long to learn. Like, it doesn't take long to see the consequences of a lot of the bad decisions now, because we're so far down the road as a country. We've made a lot of bad decisions, and when it first started off, over 100 years ago, the bad decisions, you wouldn't immediately see the effects, because the country was still strong, the economy was still strong. It would take a while for the effects to be felt. The can would be kicked pretty far down the road because things were good. Now we can make bad decisions, and people, you see it pretty quick. For instance, COVID. We were right about COVID. Pretty much all the conspiracy theories, I think at this point, all the main conspiracy theories were correct. Shocker. Okay. Biden. Bad idea. Yeah, bad idea. And now, according to some polls, people are starting to see that that's a bad idea. Hunter Biden's laptop was real. Russian collusion was fake. Impeachments, nothing, just garbage. The DOJ is weaponized against the American people. The deep state is real. We just keep getting hit with yeah, that was true. Defunding the police was a bad idea. Here's the real kicker of it, because these things, once people realize what they've done, it'll come out in the news, now more people are saying defund the police is a bad idea, for example. We told you that. Okay, we told you all of that. Now that you see it, We're starting to see it. Some people do because, like I said, the effects of bad decisions now, they don't take long to catch up. And suddenly it's supposed to be some kind of new revelation that, oh, now it's a bad idea. Now you see the error in your ways. Oh, it was a learning experience. We're supposed to just grant amnesty, I guess, for people as they learn. That's not how the world works, okay? Like, making a mistake is one thing. We can't afford to keep making the same mistakes, because if you make a mistake at your job, for example, you say you're sorry, they say, okay, it's okay, everybody makes mistakes, but then you just keep making the mistake. And other people, your coworkers, start telling you, hey, don't do that. You don't want to do that. Well, I'm going to do it anyway, and you make the mistake. Oh, sorry, that was a mistake. You see, there was a line of departure somewhere there, okay, where it becomes not a mistake, and it just becomes stupidity or wanton disregard for the way things are supposed to be done and for the proper and right thing. There's a very swift departure from honest mistake to sabotage. All right. And sabotage doesn't have to be wanton sabotage. It can just be stupidity or, naivety, which is kind of the same thing. To expect people to tell the other half of the country that they're messing up and that they're repeating history, and then when that side figures it out along the way, we're all supposed to just say, okay, well, glad you learned. No, because the issues are that at stake here are too high. You don't have to make the mistake. You can learn about history and human nature, which are kind of the same thing, really. History is a reflection of human nature. And when you really learn from that and learn what has happened, you will quickly come to the conclusion there is nothing new under the sun. Okay, so this idea that you're progressing towards something greater, progressivism, it's all been tried before. Okay, this is the same old story. And it always ends in tears. It's not going to be different this time. The stove is hot. Don't touch the stove. You touch the stove. The stove was hot. Do you go back and touch the stove again? Maybe it won't be hot now. How do you expect the rest of us who understand history and understand the Constitution, you expect us to just bend that law of the land was drafted not as just some brilliant idea that the founding fathers came up with suddenly. They understood human nature and they knew history as well. That's where the Constitution comes from, because they looked back at history. These were not stupid people. They looked back and saw what has been tried. Okay, how do we make this different? So to think that you are moving towards something better that's totally disregards that document and those ideals set forth in the United States Constitution, you are a fool. To think that we're just going to be giving out amnesty like it's candy while you try and catch up, it's not feasible, okay? All right, if you can't understand the principles of the Constitution and of freedom, and if you don't know what freedom is, then you don't deserve to sit at the adults' table and we don't have to listen to you. This is half the country right now. The only good outcome, the best outcome we can hope for, is freedom. Because anything else other than that is wrong. And you're wrong for wanting it. So I don't know what your personal, if you want to sit back and deny reality and what you're seeing, we're kind of playing for keeps now. This is important. You may want to feel a certain way and to have that validated. So do children. Okay? Children want that too. So grow up. And as far as growing up goes, this is for the grown-ups. I'm getting really, really tired of the compromise. Okay? We do not compromise on truth. Every time, and again, January 6th is in the news, because of the Trump indictment. This disclaimer stuff has to stop whenever January 6th comes up. Usually one of the conservative talking heads or hosts will say, and, we do know that people did bad things. Really? What bad happened on January 6th from the protesters? What was so terrible and awful they did? I'm being serious, because I don't see what they did as bad, and here's why. And I have a really good reason. When a government as corrupt and as evil as ours is what you're fighting against, do you think any of those buildings in Washington, D.C. matter? When the institution that you're fighting against is so corrupt to the core, it's solid black, rotten, you could burn down those buildings. What does it matter? Because we're at the point, and I firmly believe this, we are at the point where the government is irredeemable. There is no redemption from this government. The deep state, there's no way to fix it. The institutions that you're so sad to see people break and hurt or whatever, these institutions are your enemy. So stop saying that people did bad things. They didn't go far enough. Even if they had, what difference would it have made? It's a building. It doesn't matter. This doesn't represent our democracy. We don't have a democracy, we have a republic, and it doesn't represent our republic at all. Our government does not represent us. It certainly does not represent me. If this government represents you and you see yourself as on the same side of the United States government at this point, I must question your morals and your principles, because this government is full evil. And you think that there's some kind of hallowed ground in Washington, D.C., and that those buildings stand for something and those monuments. Give me a break. The only thing they represent is bad at this point, because that's who is in Washington, D.C. That's what the government is, and that's what those symbols now represent. The ideals of freedom, the Constitution itself. Those ideals are not inscribed and somehow contained within the bricks of the Capitol building. We have one symbol to represent them, and that is the American flag. That's the only symbol that does. As far as Washington, D.C., the Capitol building, you think it's a crime to hurt that building? The building is meaningless. And if it means anything, I would actually argue that it stands for evil at this point, because that's who's in it. And I think that the evidence of this speaks for itself. Who died on January 6th? An American citizen. You think I care about a bunch of buildings in Washington, D.C.? You think I care about the police officers, Capitol Police? If you're on the wrong side, dude, I got nothing for you, and I don't care if you get hurt or not. That's just the way it is. You're on the wrong side, and you've made your choice. Other conservatives, they want to say, we know they did bad things on January 6th, and we also know there are some fine people left in... Really? Who? Who's left in... Because any person, any officer that could be left in the Capitol Police after a Capitol Police officer murdered a woman in the Capitol building, any good officer that could be left, what are you doing? Well, how do you even do your job? Well, I have a mortgage to pay. I have kids to feed. Okay. You know what? You do. You might, and you do, and that's fine. That's your choice, man. Collaborators have reasons for being collaborators. Same thing goes for the FBI and the ATF, for sure. And definitely the IRS. I'm sure there are some good agents. Stop saying it. Because at this point, how good are they? Maybe if they're undercover, working against, sabotaging those institutions, maybe then you can consider them good. How many of those do we have? Oh, maybe a handful. No, we have zero. Okay. The whistleblowers keep coming forward, and that's cool. But we're kind of getting to a saturation point on whistleblowers from these agencies. They all just keep confirming the same thing we already know. I mean, we got a factory line of whistleblowers coming to tell us how bad they are. We already know how bad they are. You as a member of the institution, should also know how bad they are. And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. You should see it. If you are a good person or a good agent or a good officer. So all the talk about, well, there's some good people left. Really? Okay. That good officer, he'll still bust you. He'll still be one of them. Stop with the mantras that hand the other side respect, because the other side, the leftists, the socialists, the communists, the Marxists, the Gnostics, they do not get respect because they don't deserve it. The rot is very, very deep, and to think that they deserve respect or the buildings they work in deserve respect. Our building, our money pays to maintain it. Our money paid to build it. If you ask me, a Wendy's is more valuable than the Capitol building because that Wendy's probably has a franchise owner behind it who relies on it for their livelihood. That's somebody's life, that's somebody's business, and they care deeply about how that building is taken care of, whether it's there or not. We have to learn not to compromise, because what we're facing is a relentless machine of leftist march towards authoritarianism. And it's not going to stop, man. It's not. You can hand all the concessions you want to them. You can make all the apologies after being canceled for something you said. It's not going to make any difference. At this point, I would posit that the only thing righteous in this country are the two Americans that live in it. That's how far down the road we are. And you gotta wake up, man. You gotta wake up and realize it. Because the idea of open debate, I'm done with it. I'm not debating leftist points anymore with anybody. I'm not. I'm not open to it. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. Leftism, socialism, Marxism, communism, it's wrong. Period. End of story. There is no debate. So as far as constructive objectivity with the nature of man, no. You don't get to lecture me on the nature of man. I know more than enough about the nature of man. Stand up for what you believe in and say what you know is right. Don't let the conservative mob try to tell, well, we know they did some bad. Come on, say what you mean and mean what you say. That also ties into this gay, queer, LGBTQ stuff. You hear all these conservative people who like, well, I don't have anything against being gay. Well, I don't have. You like sodomy? I don't get it. Like, what do you mean you don't have anything against people being gay? Are you trying to say that you don't think it should be illegal to be gay? Because I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with that. It should not be illegal to be gay. You're free to be gay. You're free to do a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that I have to like it. It doesn't mean that I have to respect it. In fact, I think homosexuality is pretty freaking gross. The idea that some dude wants to get sodomized by another dude, like, that's freaking nasty. I don't have to respect it at all. I don't have to tolerate it. I don't have to put myself anywhere near that if I don't want to, because I'm free to not like it. And I don't. I am free to think that too. I am. But you know what? If you want to be gay, it should not be illegal. You're free to be gay. And you're free to not like me for not liking you for being gay. I'm free to not like you for being gay. Free country. You see how that works? You see how that works? It's the old adage that I may not agree with what you're saying, but I will fight to the death to make sure you have the right to say it. I'll fight to the death to make sure you have the right to be gay. So that doesn't make me some kind of enemy. If anything, it makes me one of your strongest allies, because I'll make sure you have the freedom to be whatever you want to be. But you don't get to tell me what I'm supposed to like. It doesn't shock me. It doesn't make me clutch my pearls. I've seen it all before. We see it constantly. Nothing you say or do can shock me. I can respect you for other things. As far as your sexuality goes, I don't care. leave it behind closed doors. And I'll leave mine behind closed doors. And you know what? We could probably get along on other issues. But don't come up to me and make your sexuality as like who you are to me. I don't like it. And I don't have to like it. And that's just kind of the way it is. If you don't like homosexuality, you don't have to say that you do. That's the cool thing about America. We don't all have to like each other. Don't compromise. You don't like something, say you don't like it. If you see somebody saying something stupid, doing something stupid, call them out. If you see somebody that constantly makes the same mistake over and over and expects forgiveness, you don't have to forgive them. And you don't have to repeat the same lines just to make yourself look better. If you see wrong, call it wrong. And I wish more people would do that, especially the mainstream independent talking heads, discussions and podcasts, you know, they all repeat the same platitudes. And you'll notice too, when you hear those platitudes, a lot of them are followed with a but. So that tells you right there, they're not really saying what they mean. Well, I know some people did some bad stuff on January 6th, but you don't have to say the first part. Call it how you see it. Because usually when you say something like that, the but is the negation of everything you just said. You're repeating a mantra at that point. Some of you might think that this is pretty hateful. I have hate speech. You can take hate speech and shove it. I don't care. I know there's no such thing as hate speech. There's no such thing as gun violence. There's speech and then there's violence. They don't need qualifiers. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sound familiar to anybody out there? Hate speech doesn't exist. Gun violence doesn't exist. Violence is violence. Speech is speech. So you can say that I'm inciting violence or that I'm spreading hate speech or whatever. I don't care. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. Because the idea that you think that speech and violence need qualifiers puts them outside of the realm of the First Amendment. And I don't subscribe to that. Just the way it is. Too bad. So sad. Oh well. Anyway, that's about it. Have a good one.